So our last presenter before the intermission is very near and dear to my heart. We kind of had a thing before he met the girl who first started talking tonight, Angie, but that's okay, I forgive you. Hailing all the way from Montreal, Canada, Nick Nunns.
So I haven't lived in Montreal since I was like 13, so don't hold it against me. So I am Nick Nunns. I want to talk to you guys about iPhones and why you guys need to really just kind of stop whining about them all the time. Because it's kind of awesome that they work at all. So how many guys out there actually use iPhones? A lot of people? I see some hands. They're pretty great, right? Amazing technology, unbelievable stuff that these things can do. They just are completely amazing. Except when it comes to the whole like making a phone call thing. Doesn't exactly do the best job of that. So, you got to give it a little bit of cred though, because it's kind of amazing that they can actually make phone calls at all. It's amazing that cell phones work at all. And I want to outline some reasons why it's amazing. So, about me, up until I started living my life like at summer camp on July 1st, I used to work for a company that makes test equipment to actually test cell phones. So I like to think that I know some things about this stuff. I wouldn't consider myself a professional, but anyway. One of the things I want to tell you about is fading, right? So fading is what happens when your cell phone signal goes from your phone and bounces off of everything that's around you and then ends up back at the base station, which is the big cell phone towers, right? What that does is it creates all these different blips and just messes up your signal a whole bunch. You can see here that really big dip down there. That is about 3,000 times lower than when it's at its peak there. That's a huge, huge degradation in your signal quality, right? It's just going way down there. Another thing that can mess up your signal is interference, right? So everybody have a conversation with me right now. I have no idea what you're saying because you're all yelling at me. Stop. We've seen this happen before in keynotes, right? Steve Jobs was not too happy with all those people who had their MiFi stations going, 600 wireless networks or something all at once. Really hard for a phone to actually talk to anything at all. So another great thing, iPhone 4, revolutionary antennas. This is breaking edge, beautiful design, just amazing. It's phenomenal. It looks like a Leica camera. The only problem is that a lot of people who use iPhones are kind of big dorks. And when you actually get your mitts on an antenna, it has a tendency to actually reduce that. You're basically taking the dial on your radio and twisting it to a completely different station. That's how much it's actually tweaking where your signal is. Another thing that can mess it up is what your phone is actually saying. So this is, I don't even really know what this is. It's all the different types of signals that your phone sends to the base station. If you get them wrong, it can completely mess it up. Then there's the fact that you're taking all these analog signals and you're turning them into digital signals. And if you do that wrong, that can create a whole bunch of errors too, right? So you're just taking the signal, you're messing around a whole bunch, and if you don't do it right, it's gonna mess up your signal, you're gonna have crappy reception, you're not gonna make any calls. Another amazing thing is what's called handoffs. So when you're moving from one area to another, when I was riding my bike from Cap Hill to here, I had to talk to a whole bunch of different stations at one time, and the handoff, it has to talk to a whole bunch of different things at one time. These are going really fast. This is a perfect signal. That's what it should look like all the time. The red dots represent data bits. That's what it looks like perfect, right, when you have a wire going to your phone. This is what it actually looks like in real life. There are no dots in that. There's not even a signal in this one. There's nothing happening, and that actually, I measured this. This is a real signal that I measured off of a phone before I quit. So this is it. This is what it looks like. So some rules about owning phones that I want you guys to follow. Number one, bars don't mean anything. They kind of mean something. They're a good indicator of kind of how much signal you have coming to your phone, but it's like Celsius and Fahrenheit and Celsius. There's different interpretations of the same thing. Rule number two, these people try to test these things to make sure they work. You give them a little bit of credit that they're trying to get a good product out the door, but they are also fallible. So, give them a little slack maybe. It's not easy. Rule number three, bloggers are not people with engineering degrees. People with engineering degrees are not the antenna faculty at the University of Massachusetts. So, again, take it with a grain of salt. We used to have phones like this. We don't anymore. They look like this now. Really frickin' tiny, right? Kind of awesome. So don't forget where this all came from. And then the last rule that I want you guys to live by is in the words of Louis C.K., everything's amazing and nobody's happy. So just try to be happy once in a while, right? Thanks, guys.